Hey guys, so with the announcement that Breath of the Wild 2, or sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild, is releasing, I thought I would do a piece that was based off the trailer that we saw. So I've seen some other really cool fan art come out, but I wanted to do my own take on it, and already you're starting to see some line work here. Now, it gets really wonky in the beginning here, especially with Zelda's face. You can see I actually changed it quite a bit. Originally, I was going for something that was a little bit more stylized, or I should say different than the actual game itself, trying to go in a different direction. It was not successful, so I kind of went in a slightly more anime or traditional Zelda tone. You can see her features take on some more of those traditional anime and also Zelda kind of art style there. She is going to be holding the torch, which is the main light source. I also might have seen Link during that sketch there. Originally I had him holding a torch too, but I didn't want to have too much confusion with some of the light sources. So I had him holding the Master Sword in the end. And then right behind him, this sketch here is taking the longest part. That's Ganon back there, or Ganondorf, I should say. Or what is rumored to be Ganondorf, which almost certainly is. But I guess you would call him kind of the zombie Ganondorf there. But I also gave a little bit of the gray tone just to give me an idea of where some of the lighting will hit. So coming off the torch, and it's hitting everybody on their, I guess they would be their left side. From the viewer, it's our right side here. And just to kind of plot out and give us an idea when I'm doing it, what direction I'll have some of those shadows. In Procreate, I then take those tones and I make them more transparent so I can lay down some of the cleaner line work on top. When I do the original sketch, it kind of is pretty fast relatively for this piece. I did get a little caught up with Ganondorf there, but it gives me some loose movement so I can later go in and kind of do more concrete line work over it. The hardest part I had here was with the Master Sword. You can see me doing some perspective lines. Now, Procreate's really cool because it actually has perspective guides in it now as well. But for me, this was easy enough to just do a quick plotting out there. Originally, I was going to have some of the luminous stones kind of in the back, and I kind of went against that. I do have some pillars that I'm going to work on here, and then I do have some rocks and kind of this underground cave kind of area. Now, right now, I'm just plotting in some of the flat colors here, and this will just be a base that I can add shadows to later, add highlights and a light source. Kind of still experimenting with how I did this, because actually in the front earlier, and this will come back in just a little bit here, but I did a gradient of kind of an orange tone more on the top, and then at the bottom it was a little bit more violet. Now there was a lot of color going on there and a lot of different brushes that just happened, so let me explain kind of what I did there. I was trying to experiment and go through and see what kind of brushes I would use for some of the stones. And I was going to add some texture. I didn't like it. I sometimes some of those brushes look really, really synthetic. So I ended up just going with the original. It's a studio pen is what I'm using in Procreate. And I just laid in the flat colors. Now, the kind of brush I did use, though, that had an effect was this, I believe it's the Flare tool. And it's in some of the lighting brushes that are in Procreate, and I did use that for some of the highlights you can see on the flame itself for the torch. You'll see me go in and out again of the gradient here, And then just to kind of check and see where things are, some of the colors, it was really hard to use. It's not the eyedropper, I don't believe, in Procreate, but if you're familiar with Photoshop, it's kind of the eyedropper, to just make sure I had all the colors fairly consistent with each of the characters. I have the blues, you can see a little bit different on Zelda versus Link. It's a little too blue at this point for Link, and I'll change that here in just a bit. I also did add a little Abrams effect there with some of the slight little lens flare on the Master Sword there, just to kind of draw the eye in from the torch, from the Master Sword, and also from Ganondorf's eyes and his little jewel on his forehead there. Starting to add in some of the shadows. Now, when I started to do this part, I noticed that some of the contrast and some of the lighting, some of the shadows are starting to compete a little bit with each other. Not too much, but enough where it's going to start to bug me. So I want everything in the end to be pretty consistent, so I did tone that down just a little bit. You can see in Ganondorf I had some stronger shadows. I know I'm going to add some shadows in just a little bit here too, but I get a little fixated on those pillars and some of the designs, which were really fun to do. You're not going to actually see much of the detail in the final, but it was nice to at least have it there. I also add some darker kind of shadows to the bottom there, and starting to build that up because we're in a cave here, so we do want to eventually get dark. Also, even though the colors are kind of getting on the right track, we don't have that really warm color, so in the end I am planning to put that kind of filter, and that's going to come in just a little bit. You can see some of the dark. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, and here we are with the finished piece. Now this kind of orangey tone, all that is just over all of it. I just put in a little bit warmer tone to kind of tie everything together, give that really torch, that really warm kind of look. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It did take a little bit longer than I anticipated, but let me know what you think. If you did like it, I would really appreciate if you could give me a like, and if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I'll be more consistent with what I'm putting out now. Try to put out maybe 1 or 2 things a week from now on. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm most active on there, but I'm on several different platforms here. I'll have them in the description below. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.